inquiry ascertaining whether it was the OSP. We have our unique methods of conducting searches, and we have uniquely designed insignia identifying ourselves, and not just by a statement that we are from the OSP. This is one such main insignia. A person cannot just show up and say they are from the OSP. It's cheap, anyone can say that. But when the OSP enters your premises, you will definitely know by our insignia, our methods, and the way we identify ourselves that this is the OSP. Our intelligence points us to state that the purported raid on Mr. Ofori-Atta's residence was staged, or at best, an imposter action in an attempt to court disfavor for the OSP and to derail the investigation. You know us very well. The OSP is never deterred by such occurrences, and the investigations will continue as by law prescribed. These occurrences and the OSP's intelligence, which will not be revealed at this time for fear of compromising the investigation, are very instructive as not to put premium on Mr. Ofori-Atta's alleged imminent peril should he travel back to the jurisdiction. In any case, the purported medical letter transmitted through his lawyers to the OSP did not state so or demonstrate so. The OSP is unconvinced that the purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Ofori-Atta through his lawyers to the OSP represents a medical report to the effect that Mr. Ofori-Atta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. No serious law enforcement agency, and certainly not the OSP, will be convinced that the purported medical letter stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Mr. Ofori-Atta before it in the described circumstances. We are of the firm conviction here that this is only a ruse employed by Mr. Ofori-Atta in aid of his intention to avoid returning to the jurisdiction and to personally answer questions in respect of the investigations. We are convinced that the real intention of Mr. Ofori-Atta is what was communicated to the OSP in the very first letter transmitted by his lawyers on 31 January 2025. That is, he has left the jurisdiction indefinitely. That was what was communicated to us at the first instance, and that is his intention. He has no intention of willingly returning to the jurisdiction. That much is clear to us. Consequently, ladies and gentlemen of the media, the OSP declares Kenneth Naya Ofori-Atta a wanted person. He is a fugitive from justice. The OSP will take all necessary legal steps to secure his return to the jurisdiction and attendance at the OSP. And this is to Mr. Ofori-Atta. You have two choices. You can either return to the jurisdiction voluntarily, or the OSP will enforce your return. Another case update. The OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of the operations of the Minerals Income Investment Fund, MITH, especially regarding payments made in respect of Ejapa Royalties Limited, Small-Scale Mining Incubation Program, Quarry Value Addition Program, Asante Gold Corporation, Electrochem Ghana Limited, the Lithium Asset, that is Projected Lithium Focused Exploration and Development Corporation, Gold Asset 2, that is Enchi Gold Project, and all other investments by MITH, and funds expended on the chairman of the board of directors, the operational funds of MITH, purchase of parcel of land for intended office building, and all contracts and agreements entered into by MITH, and all publications, especially international publications by MITH. We are withholding the names of those under investigation for now, by targets 2 former officials and 2 serving officials of the fund. Third, the OSP has also commenced investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of an alleged embezzlement of 1.3 billion cedis from the Unified Petroleum Pricing Fund, UPPF, at the National Petroleum Authority, NPA. The investigation primarily targets the following persons: the coordinator of the UPPF, Mr. Jacob Amwa, NPA staff Frida Tando, NPA staff Wendy Ashon Newman, and the former chief executive of NPA, Mustafa Abdul Hamid. Lastly, it will be recalled that in the last quarter of 2023, the OSP and the Controller and Accountant General's Department jointly commenced corruption risk assessment and investigation into suspected corruption and corruption-related offenses in respect of government payroll administration. It is also recalled that the assessment and investigation are especially aimed at isolating and removing the names of non-existent, ineligible, and undeserving persons from government payroll, recovering wrongful payments and unearned salaries, prosecuting persons suspected to be culpable for any offenses, and the institution and implementation of internal controls in respect of payroll processing and payment of salaries. We further recall, as you do remember, that to facilitate the rollout of the investigation and assessment throughout the country, a pilot exercise was carried out in the northern region, covering educational institutions under Ghana Education Service and the Tamale Teaching Hospital, by a joint team comprising investigators, tracers, and assessors from the OSP and selected staff of the Payroll Processing Directorate of the Controller and Accountant General's Department between December 2023 and April 2024. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I'm glad to announce to you that after thorough investigation, the OSP is now ready to commence the prosecution of persons suspected to have engaged in such conduct. So earlier today, I directed the Director of Prosecutions at the OSP to file criminal charges at the High Court in Tamale against the following 6 persons. 1. Yakubu Tahidu, a former teacher at Balogu MA Junior High School, Yendi, in the northern region. 2. Abdullahi Abubakari Sadiq, an integrated personnel payroll database coordinator of the Ghana Education Service in Yendi, northern region. 3. Sami Suk, a schools improvement support officer for the Yendi North Sect, northern region. Mohammed Yusuf J, a one-time headmaster of the Balogu MA Junior High School, Yendi, northern region. Stafford Kolete Azude Barres, an assistant chief accounts technician at the Controller and Accountant General's Department, Accra, the Greater Accra region. And Osman Isahaku, a one-time headmaster of Balogu MA Junior High School, Yendi, northern region. The main charges are corruption of a public officer and corruption by a public officer involving the manipulation and siphoning of funds designed as fictitious salaries from the government payroll. The identified persons would soon be arraigned before the High Court in Tamale. Thank you for coming. Any questions? Yes, sir. It's always Elton.
Ofori-Atta as infinity running away from justice. You've declared him wanted, meaning you've come to the conclusion he has questions to answer regarding the investigations that we have conducted. You referenced the National Cathedral, the SML, and others. Are you able to provide us as to his exact role in these matters that you've come to the conclusion that he has questions to answer? And secondly, declaring him wanted. The claim here is that he is on an indefinite medical leave. And I'm wondering, is there no room to allow him access to speak rather than take this route to declare him wanted?
Let me answer. We'll carry the media along when we are ready to disclose the nature of his involvement in these investigations. When we started, it was 4, but by last week, it had become 5. So we're still opening it up. The more we go into it, the more we see things. So when we are ready to state, we we either come here to address you, or we put it by way of publication on our website or directly to the media. Yes, indefinite medical review. We are not without the milk of human kindness to appreciate and reckon a person's medical condition. But when you conduct yourself in a certain way to suggest that all you are doing is just a ruse and that you have no intention of returning to the jurisdiction, that is the conclusion we have come to. You see, as I said, the first communication to us was clear, that he was away indefinitely from the jurisdiction on medical grounds. Then we pushed further. You cannot tell us that you've gone out of the jurisdiction on medical grounds on your say-so. If you're a serious law enforcement agency, would you just take a person's declaration that, oh, I am so much an invalid that I'm unable to come? You would demand to know more, right? And that is exactly what we did. So we pushed. The response that came was unconvincing. That he may, at some future time, undergo possible surgical procedure. And I said something which is very crucial. There's intelligence available to us, which we do not want to reveal now because it may compromise the investigation. That tells us that, and that's what I stated, that it is just a ruse that he can travel to the jurisdiction. It's not as if he comes to the jurisdiction, we'll promptly lock him up and throw the key away. It is a process we go through. This is a democratic institution. Very well prescribed constitutional and statutory legal processes. So what do you fear coming in to answer questions? You can reschedule your appointments in such a way that you can come in and go. We will not say you should stay and die at all costs. What kind of persons will we be? So that is not the issue. The issue is your expressed intention that you've gone away definitely. What do you have to show for it? We get a purported medical letter, a very sketchy one, which tells us that you have scheduled appointments which you need to attend and that you are being reviewed, and there are some future dates you would maybe undergo some surgical procedure. For us, this is unconvincing. And as I stated in my briefing, the letter doesn't say you are so much of an invalid that you can't complain and travel to the jurisdiction. We all fall sick at some point, and we all go seek medical attention wherever. But if you are not at the point of death, if you are not bedridden, if you are not on a stretcher, this is a ruse, and we are unconvinced. As far as we are concerned, he just doesn't want to return to the jurisdiction voluntarily, and we have given him the chance so to do voluntarily, failing which we will pull him to Ghana. Yes, sir.
My name is Ibrahim Hassan. I work with H1 Senior Side. Ibrahim Hassan, H1 Senior Side.
Sammy, your pen doesn't write. Go on.
Yes, so Kenneth Naya come back willingly or be pulled back forcibly. How exactly is that going to happen? Can we say then that now you declared him wanted?
No, I didn't. You don't say, can we now say, I just declared him a wanted person and a fugitive from justice. So don't put ifs and buts on it.
Great.
We have declared him a fugitive from justice. He's wanted by the OSP.
What are the processes that you trigger? For instance, are you reading the Interpol? And if you are, how guaranteed are you that they will cooperate? We've been there before. We know people have
you know very well that I don't disclose strategy until I'm ready to do so. See, but a little bit of I don't want to use the word education. I'm a lecturer at heart, so let me put it this way. See, that Interpol red notice, this is general, not in relation to the case at hand. Interpol red notice is not an arrest warrant, and it is not an extradition request. So there are so many things that go into it. So just because you have issued an Interpol red notice doesn't mean automatically Interpol will help you to pull the person here. So this is just by way of education. Yeah, right.
Please, will we take before you understand? There are lots of that. My name is Samson Ajiman. I work with CTFM Channel 1 TV. Now, considering the timelines for the engagement with Mr. Kenneth Naya, it appears he left the jurisdiction before you gave him notice that you wanted to engage him. And if that is so, he had taken a decision already to go out of the country indefinitely. Doesn't that defeat your understanding that he's seeking to run away, per se, from being interrogated?
Samuel, I'm already involved. I'll just answer as we go. It makes the memory fresher.
And then the second question is on the read.
It's on the
read. The lawyers wrote to you. They sought to inquire from you if the read was from your outfit. You say it is not from your outfit, but you've gone ahead to say that you think that it's staged or done to an imposter action done to paint you black. But have you in any way conferred with other investigative bodies before coming into your conclusion that it is staged? And the final one is there have been conversations on oral, and one of the things your office have been investigating has to do with the sale of stool lands and state lands. And the conversations we've heard from members of oral has to do with the purchase of state lands by persons who are politically exposed. Now, my concern is that it may happen in a way where you may be investigating the same thing, where the oral team, through the Attorney General, is also investigating. So, to what extent have you been involved with this whole oral thing?
Right. Let me answer. As I said, it makes the memory fresher. Your hand has been up perpetually. Next one is to I see he's giving the microphone to you already. So, right, the first question. Your intention to leave the jurisdiction indefinitely does not stop us from requiring your presence. You are a citizen of Ghana. You were a public officer. You were a finance minister for a very long time. And if you have decided to go away indefinitely, that is your personal decision. But when a law enforcement agency wants you physically in, you have to show up. You do not have a choice about it. You get me? So your travel arrangements, your travel plans, your travel habits have nothing to do with the law enforcement agency. But at the point where the law enforcement agency informs you that we need you physically, we need to see you for you to answer certain questions, you don't direct us to your lawyers and say, oh, whatever information that you want, your lawyers can provide for you. We are not investigating your lawyers. Your lawyers can't, and your lawyers were not the finance ministers. You were the finance minister, and it is your role as finance minister and the things that came about in respect of this investigation in your duty as finance minister. That is why we want to see you. Throwing us to your lawyers doesn't answer it. So if you have formed an intention to leave the jurisdiction before we contacted you, well, breaking news, a law enforcement agency wants you. Do you have a choice about it? You don't. Why is it that if the FBI declares someone wanted, we all go agog and it's used our purposes, for instance, in the US? Or is it because we watch so many movies and we've come to accept it? But when the OSP declares someone wanted, then it becomes something that perhaps we should push against. As I said, we sitting here have done all our checks and everything shows to us that the man just doesn't want to show up. And that was communicated in the first letter. It was clear in there that he is gone indefinitely. It was when we pushed that you cannot just tell us that. Before things started cascading, then we started seeing the real intention. But your first intention of telling us that you are away indefinitely was what you intended to stick to. The raid. I do not intend to go into detail here in respect of our intelligence as to what we do know. But the way it was carried out, the way the media reportage went, the way immediately the OSP was linked to it, the way all of a sudden it is the OSP having some vendetta against him, that is why. Did the media even know that we had asked him to come? No. So how did it just then get into the media all of a sudden that the OSP has some vendetta against Mr. Ofori-Atta, and that is why the OSP raided his house? When we did not carry out the raid quickly, and this is coming a day after the lawyers had informed us and given us some purported medical letter. And our checks quickly and our intelligence shows us that, I said, it's one of two things. It is staged, or it is an imposter action. To situate it, I say, baby, staged or an imposter action, and it's not coming from us. Why are we then being blackened for it? There's something untoward going on, and we time. I would declare him a fugitive from justice. And this is now. Oral. Yes, we started our investigation of at the Lands Commission, the sale of stool lands, state lands, and vested assets a while back. It is huge because we gave ourselves a timeline of the commencement of the investigation will be from 7 January 1993 to date. So it is a huge endeavor. Indeed, if we say we're going to go as we want to go, it might even take 5-6 years to come to a full conclusion of the nature of the things and what actually has gone on. You ask whether we were involved in the oral preparation. The Attorney General himself wasn't involved, but the report has been handed over to him. So I strongly do believe that the Attorney General and the OSP will go into some of the processes and some of the cases so as we won't